Yeah. Hair flip. Yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip. Yeah. Oh my God. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. And hair flipping on these hoes. Hi.
With OJ Simpson. Doesn't this violate your attorney-client privilege?
Barbara, I'm on the witness list for the civil trial, and I think that's something that the court will have to determine at that time.
Are you sharing any of the profits, if there are any, from this book?
I don't like discussing my financial situation.
You saw OJ Simpson almost every single day. He wanted someone with him all the time. At first it was you, and after a while, enough already. And so, what did you do?
I had an assistant of mine, Nicole Pulvers, who was an attorney, and we had her sit with him all day, every day.
She was paid to go and keep him company?
Yes.
That's rather spoiled of Mr. Simpson, is it not?
Very.
In the book, even before the trial started, you say that Robert Shapiro said to you, "This is how I think the murders may have been committed." What did he say?
Mr. Shapiro told me one day that he thinks OJ went over there and he was just going to poke her tires, and she caught him, and that's when the murders took place. And I was astounded. Here is our lead trial attorney giving me this theory of guilt. And I said, I don't want to hear theories of guilt.
In her latest interview, Kris Jenner candidly reflected on the infamous cheating scandal that ended up breaking up her family nearly decades ago. The 64-year-old television star met Robert Kardashian when she was just 18 years old. Speaking about their relationship, Kris said she married Robert at the age of 22 after dating him for 4 years. She then revealed that she had an affair when she was in her 30s, and her greatest regret is that it destroyed her marriage and her family. Speaking about the aftermath of the affair, the Keeping Up with the Kardashians star recalled feeling helpless. She had 4 kids and nowhere to go. She said during an In Charge with the DVF podcast, stating that it was a scary phase of her life. Kris said she had no idea how she was going to financially sustain herself and her children. She was trying to figure out what she wanted to do with her life, and it was then when a friend introduced her to Bruce Jenner, who is now known as Caitlyn Jenner. She helped him restart his career and realized her passion for managing schedules, and she later used her managing skills to manage her daughter's career. Kris Jenner's former lover has broken his silence and told all about their steamy affair that wrecked her marriage to Rob Kardashian. In a new interview, Todd Waterman, an Emmy-nominated Hollywood animator, reveals explosive details of the couple's relationship, which began back in 1989, more than 10 years into Kris's marriage to lawyer Robert. Todd was a 23-year-old soccer player from a local LA Heat when he first set his eyes on Kris Jenner in a photo frame at a friend's house in Beverly Hills. Their subsequent crazy and passionate affair led to Kris's divorce and paved the way to creating the worldwide Kardashian phenomenon. I was attracted to Kris, says Todd, who decided to speak out after the Kardashian matriarch wrote about him in her autobiography, using the false name Ryan. Todd eventually got together with Kris on a night out with friends in Los Angeles, and the pair had sex for the first time in a friend's closet. I'm sure we danced and had a good time in the club, says Todd. We came back to her friend's home in Beverly Hills, and our first time we had sex was in her friend's closet. We found a little space in the house and consummated the relationship. It was a magical night, surreal, he adds. I think it was two people who were both open to experiencing something in their life at the time. It was fate. We invited it and just ran with it from that point on. We didn't hold back. Photos in Todd's possession show the couple together during the affair. One features Kris in a colorful 1980s style outfit with Todd in a suit and his arms around her. Another snap shows he and Kris sipping from beer bottles outside, with Kris wearing a bulky navy blue suit and white corsage, while other shots featuring a young Khloe Kardashian and Todd in his football playing days. In a recent book, All Things Kardashian, Kris describes Todd living in a tiny, dumpy apartment in Studio City. However, she leaves out the fact that she was the one who suggested they find a place, even choosing it herself, according to Todd. Todd says, she picked the apartment. We found it together. Elaborating on his memories of the affair, Todd, now 46, said, "The love swept us away. We made our own different reality. It was special. It was a little crazy, a little wild. We didn't exercise caution or self-restraint. I think we were both very much in love." Speaking about the risks they would take, Todd described going over to play tennis at the Kardashian home near the beginning of the affair. He said, "We did some crazy things. I remember playing tennis at her home with my friend, the soccer player Justin, and Robert was watching us play. We're in the affair now, and I'm sure he suspected it at this point. He was trying to throw me off my game, actually. He was just calling out foot fault while I served." In her book, Kris wrote about how they had wild and crazy sex all the time. "We had sex in cars, sex on the tennis court, sex in the pool, sex in the garage when we got home, sex up and down the stairs, sex everywhere, all the time." Todd does not dispute her account, just adding, "We were pretty prolific. You got a guy in his sexual prime and a woman entering hers. It wasn't a problem. I can't remember exactly, but it's possible we had sex in all those places. We were definitely adventurous, outdoors and indoors." And when asked if they had sex in the Kardashian home, Todd said, "I don't remember. I'm sure we did though." But when asked if it went as far as the marital bed, he would only say, "I don't remember, but I'm usually not comfortable with those things." Todd remembers Kris paying for most of everything when they were together, as he decided to quit soccer due to it being badly paid. Todd recalls, "She was generous. I didn't have the money for the lifestyle she was leading. She was paying a lot. Or it was Robert, I guess," he recalled. But once the affair was outed, Todd would go to parties as Kris's boyfriend, meeting celebrities and enjoying the high life. Todd says, "I remember good times, barbecues and pool parties. It was fun. I would go to the events as her boyfriend. I met celebrities at parties. Magic Johnson and the LA Lakers were at a pool party. I remember going to a George Michael concert to the house party after and dancing in the backyard with George Michael there and Billy Idol." In the book, Kris describes how her husband hired a private investigator to catch her cheating with him, eventually confronting them in a restaurant in Beverly Hills. Todd remembers noticing the private detectives following and taking pictures of them, but had a different recollection of the confrontation. Todd says, "When he hired the private investigators, I would say that's when it started going bad. It was the midway point of the affair. I remember he turned up at our apartment and he got into the complex. I said we'd call the police, let a little time go by, and then I decided to drive Kris back to wherever she had to go. I was driving in an open Jeep at the time. As I pulled out of my garage, it was about 5 p.m. and a sunny day. He comes charging out with a golf club in his 450 SL convertible. He took a swing and whacked the back of my car. I said, "Holy sh... Kris, can I pull over and confront him? What do you want me to do?" She screamed out, No, keep driving. He might have a gun in the car. I know he keeps a gun." So we've got this little high-speed chase going on at a rush hour, and I'm in a Jeep and he's trailing me and trying to overtake us. I did a couple spin-out moves and just kept going. Luckily, maybe he got his composure again or something. Robert filed for divorce in the book Kris describes, breaking the news to the children and how they cried and cried. At the time, Todd says he was scared for his life and thought Robert might have him wiped out, as he was a powerful man. He remembers OJ Simpson calling him and warning him to stay away from Kris, something the reality show matriarch also wrote about in her book. Todd recalled, "OJ said he wanted to talk and he invited me to the house to talk. I said, no, thank you. I said, if you want to talk, I have no problem meeting you in a public place, but I have no desire to go to your home." Todd says he started to look over his shoulder and felt threatened. "I would walk into my place a different route, using the back door. I'd just been caught by this man with his wife. He was a high-powered person. He's got friends." It was scary. Todd's fears turned out to be unfounded, but looking back, he regrets the hurt the affair caused. Todd says, "There are several things I regret, and it's definitely the pain it did cause Robert and the children specifically. I think it affected Courtney the most. I know she was definitely affected, and I always felt bad about that. She was the oldest. Kimberly didn't seem to mind, and Khloe was just a special kid." Todd rubbishes claims about Robert Kardashian not being Khloe's biological father, setting the record straight. He says, "She's definitely not my kid. We had this affair 5 years after she was born. I feel sorry that Khloe has to go through something like that." But in another sensational revelation, Todd alleges that after he and Kris split up, he continued to sleep with her even when she started dating Bruce Jenner. Todd says, "I wouldn't say we were dating. We were still communicating. She was still coming over to my apartment and we were still sleeping together when she had started dating Bruce. I would say that she was getting very serious with Bruce, and we were still occasionally seeing each other, and it was messing with my head. I think we just had a hard time keeping away from each other. In the end, Todd moved to London in an attempt to get over her, but he claims Kris called him 3 months after she married Bruce, and she cried down the phone during the lengthy conversation. The next time they spoke was in 2000 when Kris tracked him down via email and they spoke on the phone. He recalls, "Maybe she was hitting a doldrum in her marriage because I got the impression that she was open to getting together, and then I came back to LA and we would talk on the phone and we made an appointment and say Starbucks today or something, but she could never get herself to do it. She never followed through, and it's probably best we never really did." So let's do a recap. Todd was the affair that allegedly ended Robert Kardashian and Kris Jenner's marriage. Once again, Kris Jenner has always been a gold digger. She's always just been around men that can, she can profit from. It wasn't until later on in life, until her daughters became celebrities, which once again, it was just Kris Jenner sitting back living off of people. It's what she's done her entire life. She literally married a man, had children with him, and openly cheated on him. She would have not known those celebrities and the parties that she was taking Todd to and things of that nature if it was not for Robert Kardashian. And then to even add insult to injury, pouring salt on an open wound, is to involve the children into the affair. Kris, you going to get an apartment with Todd was already bad enough while you were still married, and not like married in a way to where you're separated and getting a divorce. You were literally leaving your home, telling your husband you were going to do something else, knowing that you were going out to cheat on him with a man that you had already been living with. And not only that, you involved the children. You would bring Courtney and Kim and Khloe all around this man and have him, showboating around. How confusing would that have been for kids to leave your mom and dad's home and then go to another place with your mom and watch your mom all over this other guy? It's like having two dads, or something in that nature. Because as a kid, you're just not going to fully understand. And Kris wasn't telling them the truth. She wouldn't even tell her own husband the truth. So why would she tell her children? And then case in point with Kris being a gold digger is she paid for Todd's entire lifestyle. Like everything that Todd had and was doing and was going and, all of that, she paid for it all. So it's just like she was using Robert Kardashian basically as a sugar daddy, at that moment in time, just somebody with income that she occasionally sleeps with, because she no longer looked at him as a husband. To take his income and go use that income to take care of another man. And not only that, involve the children by bringing the children around them to where they know who this person is. It's like, Kris, you couldn't be more horrible of a person. And at this moment in time, it doesn't sound like Kris has ever been faithful to a man. She cheated on Rod with Todd. She cheated on Bruce, with Todd. She's just a horrible person. Like, Kris, you truly ought to be ashamed of yourself. But it's not the only person that she slept with, allegedly, while she was married to Robert Kardashian. Let's get into the reason why people think OJ Simpson is Khloe Kardashian's father. OJ Simpson bragged about his affair with Kris Jenner, says former manager. OJ Simpson reportedly bragged about sleeping with Kris Jenner while they were both married to their respective partners, Nicole Brown and Robert Kardashian. In a new documentary, Who Killed Nicole, the footballer's former manager, Norman Pardo, claimed Simpson told him about an incident which happened between him and Jenner in a jacuzzi one night. The details are very graphic, so proceed at your own risk. As the story goes, the two couples were away together when Brown and Kardashian retired for the evening, separately. Simpson reportedly told Pardo he stood up and pulled his shorts down. The pair engaged in a sexual encounter in the jacuzzi. Simpson alleges it was as messed up as you could possibly get and caused Jenner so much physical pain that she needed medical assistance. When she asked to go to the hospital, Simpson apparently refused to take her and told her to go ask her husband. Pardo says Simpson told him all of this in a limousine ride in North Carolina to an Atlanta nightclub in 2003. The trust was allegedly the reason both couples split soon after. The Kardashians divorced in 1991 and the Simpsons in 1992. Jenner married Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, just 1 month after her divorce was finalized with Kardashian. Kardashian was Simpson's defense lawyer when the footballer was put on trial for Brown's murder in 1994. Now let's get messy. So, Kris Jenner did respond, and she basically said that it hurt her to hear that people, especially if OJ, made up this rumor, about her because it hurts her because they've been friends for so long and blah, blah, blah. So, we don't believe Kris because Kris is a gold-digging, lying smut. So, we're not going to take anything that she says under consideration. Being a habitual liar and having multiple affairs, it's like, yeah, it sucks. It's pretty much the boy who cried wolf type of situation. So as much as we want to believe you, Kris, we don't, and we also don't care. So if you remember earlier, Todd, the man that Kris had her initial affair with, stated that OJ Simpson had gave him a call and told him that he should stay away from Kris. Now, with Todd's perception, I think that he was thinking like, okay, well, OJ and Robert Kardashian are really good friends, almost like best friends. So it's just a friend looking out for his buddy, like, hey, just stay away from her, type of situation. But I don't think it was that. if you think about OJ bragging about literally sleeping with Robert's wife while he was feet away and his own wife was asleep feet away, he clearly does not care about anybody but himself. I mean, could he be more of a narcissist? And OJ is a liar as well. But here's the thing. I believe that Kris was also seeing OJ as well, and throughout time. OJ met Kris when Kris met Robert, basically. You know, OJ and Robert were already friends. So when Kris came into the picture, OJ was already present. So who knows when this affair actually started. But once again, with bringing Todd up, Todd was thinking that this was him, you know, giving him precaution, like, hey, stay away. You know, Robert is, you know, he'll handle you type of situation. I don't think it was that. I think it was OJ telling Todd to stay away because he had feelings for Kris. He was sleeping with Kris and he didn't want, you know, but he couldn't really be angry with Todd because he had already been sleeping with Kris while she was married to, you know, Robert Kardashian. So I can't get mad at you for sleeping with her too, you know, and OJ was married. You know, so I mean, there's not much he could really say anger-wise, but still at the same time, it's just this really bad triangle of a lot of people that are sleeping with each other unknowingly. I don't think Todd knew that OJ was sleeping with Kris, and I believe the only way OJ figured that out is when Rob Kardashian got the private investigator. As Robert and OJ being friends, I feel that Robert confided in OJ and told OJ about what was going on between Kris and Todd. OJ hearing that, like, what? She's sleeping with him too? You know, type of situation. So he calls Todd, you know, like, hey, basically stay away from me and Rob's girl, you know, type of situation is how I feel that it was. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. But I definitely think that it's a strong possibility that OJ was definitely having an affair with Kris Jenner. So with Khloe Kardashian coming into the picture, remember, Kris's entire marriage to Robert, he knew OJ. OJ was around. OJ was one of his really good friends. And who knows, once again, when Kris and OJ allegedly started having this affair. Just because the first couple kids that came out was not OJ's does not mean that there was a slip up in the process of, you know, Kris sleeping with multiple men, to where it's a high probability that Khloe Kardashian could be OJ's kid. Now there's an alleged DNA test that Khloe took while on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I call bull on that. I mean, they're known to lie. Look at Kim Kardashian and the whole robbery in Paris. I mean, that still hasn't been explained to how these men got away with all of that jewelry. It just doesn't make sense. And it's extremely secure building. So yeah, they're known for, you know, gimmicks and not fully telling the truth. So once again, Khloe, there's a strong possibility that OJ could be your father. And I also feel that that's why Khloe has gotten certain surgeries, especially with her nose, because her nose and OJ's nose kind of distinctive. You know, Robert Kardashian does not have that nose. Kris Jenner does not have that nose. Where did Khloe get that nose from? So yeah, once again, they're known to lie. So allegedly, there's still a strong probability that OJ Simpson could be Khloe Kardashian's father. And also, if you look at pictures of OJ Simpson and Nicole's daughter, her and Khloe, their hair favor. They kind of have the same texture. With them having different mothers, of course, they're going to have different looks, but they do favor. They don't look alike, but they do favor. And if you also look at OJ's nose and Khloe's nose, once again, they're very distinctive. If you look at Nicole's daughter, her nose and her daughter's nose are similar, but it does seem as if she gets the roundness from her father. She gets that from OJ. And if you look at Khloe, her nose is very distinctive to OJ's. It's just she's her own person, so she's going to have her own look. But there's nothing necessarily in like proven that OJ and like Khloe taking a DNA test to prove that they are not related. Nothing like that has ever happened. So until then, like I said, Khloe, there is a very high probability that OJ Simpson is your father, allegedly. Kris Jenner sued by ex-bodyguards who says she sexually harassed him. She denies the claims. Former bodyguard who says he was sexually harassed by Kris Jenner is now suing her. Her daughter, Kourtney Kardashian, and the security company's that employed him for allegedly creating a hostile work environment and for violating California labor codes. A statement issued by her lawyer, Marty Singer, on Thursday said Jenner vehemently denies Mark McWilliams' claims, calling them completely false. When Kris and Courtney defeat this frivolous lawsuit, they intend to immediately sue McWilliams and his attorneys for malicious prosecution, the statement said. In his lawsuit, which was obtained by U.S. Today, McWilliams, 51, says that he began working security for Jenner, 64, in 2017 until he was suspended in 2018, and then began working for Kardashian, 41, until February 2019. The lawsuit says McWilliams was subjected to sexual advances and otherwise harassing misconduct by Jenner, including comments directed at him of an overt sexual nature, including comments about his physical appearance and sexual activities, and comments suggesting he engaged in a romantic and sexual relationship. Furthermore, commencing in or about May 2017, Jenner embarked on a pattern of conduct involving non-consensual physical contact with plaintiff of an inappropriate and sexual nature, the lawsuit says. McWilliams says in his lawsuit he complained to his supervisors at the security agencies, but they failed and refused to take action to stop Jenner's attacks upon plaintiff. Most of McWilliams' complaints are in the lawsuit and are focused state labor laws, including retaliation and wage theft, due to losing work hours from being resigned from guarding Jenner to her daughter. Jenner's statement in response to McWilliams' claims absurd allegations that are clearly fabricated. Kris never acted inappropriately towards him, the statement said. The security company stopped assigning McWilliams to work there after the guard repeatedly was caught sleeping in his car on the job. The statement also said McWilliams never made any complaints about Jenner to his employers until contriving this lucrative claim a year later. Although Kardashian is named in the suit, she is not accused in the complaint of doing anything improper, nor did she do so, the Jenner statement said. McWilliams' lawyer, Sean Novak, denied that his lawsuit is frivolous. We understand that the defendants have put out misinformation as an effort to discredit Mr. McWilliams in our court of public opinion. He told USA Today the defendants clearly are mobilizing their formidable PR machine to mount a smear campaign against an employee they mistreated. We look forward to litigating this in court. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that Kris Jenner was inappropriate with this bodyguard? And then on top of that, once again, allegedly, especially if this is true, here goes Kris Jenner once again cheating on a man. She's currently in a relationship with a man named Corey, and she's been dating him for quite some time. So if she is allegedly sexually harassing men, that is still being sexual with someone other than your partner, which classifies under cheating. Once again, Kris Jenner, you're still a scoundrel and you're still a smut. Get it together. You're almost 70 years old and you're still running around here like you're one of your own daughters. You didn't have you, and you need to stop trying to act like you're still young. You're not. You're very old. Okay? 64, you are definitely up there. Somebody calling you old isn't mean or anything in that nature. You are old. You have been here a selected amount of years. You are nearly 100. Closer to 100 than you are 50. So grow up, Kris. Gross. Until the next video, I love you guys. Comment and subscribe, and let me know how you feel in the comments underneath this video and also inside of the chat. Thank you so much for being patient with me. We have more survivings coming. Again, I'm your boy, SeanDavieWay, and until the next show, bye.
Kawit ka sa